Welcome to the Explainer. Look, whether you're running a busy hospital floor trying to keep compliance airtight, or you're a nursing professional managing your own hard-earned credentials, navigating the Connecticut nurse license verification process can sometimes feel like a maze. But today, we're completely demystifying the whole thing, step by step, so you're fully equipped to handle it like a pro. I want you to think about this critical question for a second. Who is really caring for your patients? Just imagine the absolute nightmare scenario of assuming a newly hired nurse is fully credentialed, only to discover weeks later that their license actually expired months ago. It honestly happens way more often than you'd think. Verifying a license is the absolute foundational step in ensuring quality healthcare. It carries a massive responsibility that impacts literally everyone inside a facility. Because let's be real, this process is absolutely not just administrative red tape. The stakes for negligent hiring are incredibly high. Relying on automated primary source verification is your ultimate safety net. It protects healthcare facilities from devastating liabilities, it protects the nurse's professional standing, and most importantly, it guarantees the safety of the patients relying on that care. Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for today. We're going to cover why verification matters, run through the online process, look at multi-state compacts and CNAs, troubleshoot some common pitfalls, touch on real-world disciplinary actions, and then wrap up with some best practices. Starting right off with Section 1, why license verification matters and safeguarding the healthcare system. So what are we actually looking for? Well, active is exactly what you want to hear. They are licensed and good to go. Inactive just means they aren't currently practicing but can reactivate down the line. But those bottom three statuses, that's where the true risks lie. If a license is lapsed or expired, they missed their renewal and absolutely cannot practice. Suspended means there's an active disciplinary action temporarily halting them. And revoked, the state board has permanently pulled the plug. Knowing these exact definitions is totally non-negotiable for compliance. And this is exactly why proactive monitoring is a real game changer. By leveraging automated tracking and going straight to the primary source, meaning the state board, healthcare organizations can establish a highly reliable framework. You aren't just reacting to issues after the fact, you're proactively addressing compliance needs and mitigating massive reputational and legal risks long before they ever reach the clinical floor. Moving on to Section 2, the online verification process, navigating the CT e-license portal. The state has actually made this incredibly accessible. Step 1, you just head over to alicense.ct.gov. That's the Connecticut Department of Public Health's real-time primary source database. Step 2, you just click Look Up a License right there on the main dashboard. And Step 3, punch in your search criteria and hit Submit. Boom, it updates instantly, which is exactly what Joint Commission accrediting bodies want to see when they audit your records. Now, you don't even need a login to do a public search. You can search by the nurse's first and last name, but a quick heads up, it has to be typed exactly as it's registered. Honestly, if you have their specific license number, use that. It's always the fastest and most accurate route. You can also filter by license type, like RN or LPN. But here's a massive pro tip for you. Less is more. Don't fill out every single search box, or the system might get confused and return 0 results. Just use 1 or 2 filters to find the exact profile you need. All right, Section 3, compacts and CNA variations, multi-state privileges and registries. If you're dealing with a nurse who might have a multi-state license, you really need to know the difference between these two systems. The CT e-license portal handles your in-state primary verification, but the nurse's system, which is run by the National Council of State Boards of Nursing, is your absolute go-to for multi-state privilege monitoring and national lookups. So if you aren't sure which state originally issued a traveler's primary license, the nurse's Quick Confirm tool is exactly where you want to be. And this brings us to a strict rule for compact nurses that trips a lot of people up. If a nurse permanently relocates from another compact state to Connecticut, they have a strict 60-day grace period. Day 1, they move. By day 60, that window slams shut. Before that grace period ends, they have to apply for a new multi-state license and declare Connecticut as their primary state of residence. If they don't, their multi-state privileges revert to a single state license in their old state, and suddenly, there's no way around it, they're practicing illegally in Connecticut. Now, certified nurse aides or CNAs have their own distinct pathway. They aren't on the standard e-license portal at all. They are managed entirely through the Prometric registry. Employers have to search this registry to verify training competency, get a specific confirmation number prior to hire, and critically, check for any findings of patient abuse or neglect. Plus, CNAs have to prove they've worked at least 8 hours in a qualifying role every 24 months just to keep that certification active.
Let's pivot to Section 4, Troubleshooting and Pitfalls, Overcoming Verification Glitches.
Okay, rapid-fire troubleshooting time for the state portals. First, like I mentioned, less is more. Don't overfill those search boxes. Second, drop the zeros. If a license number starts with a bunch of zeros, just leave them out. The database doesn't need them, and they actually cause errors. Third, there is currently a known glitch where iOS devices, so iPads and iPhones, can fail during the application and search process. Try to always use a desktop computer. And finally, if you're a nurse seeking endorsement to another state, the CTDPH is entirely paperless for this. They will not fill out your third-party paper forms. The whole shebang has to be routed electronically through the nurse's system.
Section 5, Real-World Disciplinary Actions, Understanding Board Intervention.
So what happens when things go wrong? It's important to note the Department of Public Health does not just unilaterally revoke a license without due process. When investigations uncover severe issues like clinical incompetence or credential fraud, the DPHU's Office of Legal Compliance files what's called a statement of charges. This is a formal legal document that outlines the specific regulatory violations they found and sets the whole administrative process in motion. To really understand the gravity of this, consider this redacted excerpt from a March 2026 Board of Examiners notice for a nurse named Tabitha Moshe. It bluntly states, "Failure to file an answer could result in the allegations being found to be true as stated. The board may hold a fact-finding meeting." This perfectly illustrates the severe procedural reality of these hearings. If a practitioner just ignores these charges and doesn't formally engage, the state board has full authority to proceed, hold fact-finding meetings, and potentially revoke their practice rights entirely. Bringing it all together in Section 6, Best Practices in Summary, Actionable Steps for Compliance. All right, here is your actionable checklist for success. First, leverage automated workflows for tracking renewals so you never miss a deadline. Second, for institutions and nurses alike, you've got to sign up for Nurses e-Notify. It's totally free and pushes real-time status and expiration updates straight to your inbox. Third, for CNAs, keeping those employment verification forms continuously updated is vital. A lot of people use tools like PDF Filler to streamline the state templates. And finally, always verify credentials directly against the primary source the very second you begin the hiring process. Staying proactive is literally the only way to prevent a lapsed license disaster. Quick legal disclaimer before we wrap up. While we've outlined a really structured process today, state guidelines and portal architectures can and do change. The information in this explainer is accurate as of August 26, 2026, but you absolutely must consult the official Connecticut Department of Public Health resources to verify the most current regulations. I want to leave you with this final, provocative thought. If a routine license check was missed today, what hidden risks might walk onto your clinical floor tomorrow? Proper license verification isn't just a box to check. It's the very shield that protects your practice, your staff, and your patients. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer today. Stay vigilant, stay compliant, and keep learning.